Welcome today, everybody. We are with the lovely Ashley Mayland, who's going to be my assistant here, but we're going to talk about something that she knows, well, let's say we both learn, and you talk about a lot more than I do. And I think it's important, and that is mental health, particularly red flags and green flags, when choosing or dealing with a partner.
That's right.
So that's how we're going to incorporate it. Now, today we're at the Simon Brothers showroom here in Baldwin, Missouri. And if you want to know more about Ashley and what she does and what she talks about, please catch her show, This Is Where We Heal. And you can see it on her channel or on Punchline Productions. Every week you're putting out a new episode, right?
I do, every Friday.
Right, and you have a bunch of really great solo videos on TikTok, right?
I do, yeah. That's actually where I got started, was on TikTok.
On TikTok. I'm just learning TikTok. My son's tried to show me how to do it, but it was like Vine was like the last time I tried to learn an app. Do you remember Vine?
I do.
Did you do any 3-second Vines?
I did not. I didn't know about it until it was already like...
Over?
Yeah.
Blair Bear was into the Vine a lot. He was big on Vine. So we did a lot of like, what was that Rihanna song about Monster Under the Bed?
Yeah.
We recreated that thing. Are you excited about this story?
Yeah, you look thrilled.
So today we're going to use an induction oven by Wolf. Have you used one of these yet?
No, I've never even seen one before, so...
So you turn it on. Watch me not even be able to get it right. Do we have to unlock it first? Quick start. Bake and broil, that's not any of it. Hold the unlock button. We'll not edit this part out because it's real life, folks.
There it goes.
Now we're on. All right, so this is how you start it. You just touch here and you bring it up. Or you touch here and you bring it up. So right now what I wanted to start doing is we're gonna bring this to a boil and watch how quick this starts going. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
So we'll bring this to a boil. And when we do, we're gonna blanch the broccoli. The idea behind this is as you talk to me about things that you know about with red flags and green flags, and we discuss these things, we'll add red and green ingredients to your pan and saute them to complete our power bowl stir fry.
All right, that sounds great.
You excited about that?
Oh, yes.
Perfect. So I'm gonna start cutting this chicken. If you wanna start cutting up the red peppers,
All righty.
and then we will add these things as we go. So what do you think the primary, there's probably a few like cardinal rule items with red flags, green flags. Is that true?
Sure, yeah. I mean, they're the obvious things to look out for, right? And
Right.
then there are some that aren't so obvious unless you're truly aware of them. I would say like the biggest red flags to look for initially, and this is in any connection. This doesn't have to just be a romantic relationship. This
Okay.
can be in friendship. This can be with meeting people that are new, but like paying attention to the way that they treat everyone else around them. I always look for that first.
Like the wait staff or...
Yeah, that's one of the things I pay the most attention to when I'm first getting to know someone, because obviously, no matter who you are, if you're trying to impress someone, you're going to show them your best behavior, right?
Sure.
So if they're nice to you, but they're rude to other people, that's a really good indication that that might be their actual personality or nature. And then I would say I always look for consistency in behavior and communication, because especially in romantic relationships, obviously, when it comes to friendship, people get busy, you have lives, you're not a codependent person, then you realize that you have your stuff, they have theirs, and that's the same in romantic relationships as well. But typically speaking, when someone is really interested in pursuing someone romantically, there is a level of consistency that comes into play, right? And so if they're only reaching out like once every few weeks and they're asking you to go out late at night, or they're not wanting to do anything that's traditional or respectful, that's also a really good indication of what their actual interest is in you.
Let me ask you, I apologize for interrupting.
No,
Let me ask you, when you say traditional or respectful,
Yeah.
are you talking about traditional activities as far as dating, like picking you up, holding the door, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so at this stage in my life, I'm really looking for a partner. I'm really open to true, authentic connection, and I don't really want to waste my time or my energy on people that are just looking to have a good time unless we're just friends. I want someone that's consistent and respectful and values the time that I'm giving them.
Yes, being where I'm at in my life age-wise too, I have a similar thought process on that. And one of my non-negotiables is a quality over quantity. So one of the things I've learned is when you do have a busy life and you do have a career thing, if you start revolving or changing around that individual, at least in my experience, I'll say, there's a resentment that builds up unknowingly. And then sometimes it's hard for me to identify that later as why I resent that individual. And oftentimes it's because I've lost myself in the process.
Right. Well, so the number one way to avoid losing yourself in the process is to keep the same schedule that you have, to let your life continue to revolve around the things that you have going on, but making space for someone that you're interested in, right?
Okay.
So a good way to do that, obviously, consistency is, for some people, looks like I want to talk to you every day. I want to see you every other day, which, is a little bit too much at first when you're getting to know someone, because it takes time to really build trust and safety, but...
Well, and do you think that in and of itself, so that's a good point, because I found that sometimes when an individual is all in, all at once, just based on surface level things, that's a red flag, because there's probably a codependency regurgitation they haven't grown through.
Well, that may be true. One thing I think is important to consider is that nobody comes into relationship just perfect. We're all healing from something. You may struggle with codependency. I may struggle with avoidance. We all have our things. It's really about the reciprocity that you're getting in that relationship or that connection with the person. So if I'm somebody that communication is really important to me, obviously I'm not going to stop my entire life and see you every single day, but I do want to hear from you. I do want someone that also enjoys communicating and getting to know me in that way. So,
and it's important how they show up, correct? It's not just, yo.
Yeah, right.
You up?
Right. Well, that would never work. That would never work for me. But yes, you're exactly right. Just, a check-in here and there. How are you? Thinking of you, whatever. Anyway, I find that to be a green flag, personally. And I find the lack of effort and inconsistency to be a red flag for me.
Yeah. So with that consistency, there's something that I have found that I used to overlook, and that is consistency in their own life. You talk about habits and staying true to things. So one of the things that has become important to me for sure is, if you plan a long-term thing, what are you doing to better yourself every day? But more importantly, what are you doing to really ensure you have a longevity of life?
Yeah.
If I'm asking you to be my partner, yet I'm not living a healthy lifestyle, that doesn't set you up for success or make you very confident that this could be a long-term thing, right?
Well, personally, it's more about alignment. So watching them, listening, words are important, but actions speak a lot louder. Consistently.
What do you think an immediate green flag is? I mean, let's talk a little bit surface level before we go deeper again. Visually, what are you looking at that you're like, okay, green flag?
I think attraction is really important.
Sure.
It doesn't mean you have to have the best looking person in the room, but if I'm not attracted to you or you're not attracted to me, we're already on the wrong foot, right?
Right.
I actually think it's really important, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. People are always like, go for the nice guy, go for the nice girl. Looks don't matter, but actually looks do matter, because relationships aren't just emotional and mental, they're physical too, right? Mm-hmm. So I think all of those things matter, and I think that you are allowed to look for someone you're attracted to as well.
Yeah, you're allowed to be discretionary about what you potentially are going to get into.
Obviously, attraction can grow as well. So it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, that's the most attractive person I've ever seen in my life. Because attraction can grow over time too. But
is style
on the
choice
surface
important?
level, it's maybe to some. I don't know. That's all a preference. That's not a need. That's a preference, right? And that's really what it boils down to. Attraction can be a lot of different things.
How long, if there is a time limit, how long do you think an individual typically can hide behind, maybe there's no rule of thumb, behind their truest self, right? Because we always say that actions will show you who someone is.
So they say on average, it takes about 90 days for someone to really fully start showing up as their authentic self. Even people with good intentions who are overall authentic, we naturally show our best side, right? When we're getting to know someone. And so they say on average about 90 days before a person's true colors start to initially show.
Got it. Could you pass me the oil?
Sure.
So
I'm putting the broccoli in here, right?
Yes, please. So speaking of true colors, let's talk a little bit about what we're cooking, right?
Okay.
So the true colors of what we're cooking are green and red right now, because we're tying that into the flags. But we've also got some thinly sliced prime rib, some chicken, some coconut jasmine rice. Did you toss a broccoli? There it is.
Oh, sorry.
What the idea is we're going to make power bowls, because like we said, to both of us individuals at least, and many others, it's important to take care of yourself. If you're entering into a long-term thing, how long is this person going to be around? So we wanted to make power bowls that you can quickly do, meal prep with, and get some much needed proteins without all the extra stuff, and I think they're pretty filling as well too.
And what people don't realize is that your mental health is directly connected to your physical health,
Okay.
right? So how often you're moving your body, that affects how much serotonin and dopamine your brain is getting. And just even getting out and walking and doing those things, you're building confidence within yourself. And it
Yes.
actually makes you feel better. I've noticed that even if I look exactly the same, when I'm working out more consistently, I feel better about myself. I feel better in my clothes. And nothing could even be changed, right?
Right.
It's that feeling you get from working out. There's a level of accomplishment, and your sleep affects your mental health as well.
Sleep's huge. That's something I never used to be. I was always aware of, but never conscious of. And
Yeah.
for me, for the activity, the working out in the gym, the reason that I found it effective was not just because of the serotonin release and all the other things, but also it gave me something that when I felt out of control, I could control.
Yeah.
And so having those little things, one of the things I try and really focus on is don't be upset about the things you can't control. Focus on what you can to recalibrate.
Right.
So whenever I'm feeling out of control or emotionally deregulated, I try and go back to the basics.
Yeah. And honestly, the basics are moving your body, sunlight, hydration, right? And taking time to sit with yourself mentally, emotionally, feel your feelings, evaluate where you are, and sit with the hard stuff.
So feeling your feelings. As a man, societally, we are kind of painted this picture, and it's probably because it's true for most of us.
Yeah.
That our feelings are something we try and suppress,
Right.
ignore. But one thing I've noticed with parenting in particular, let's talk about, is you can get your point across and do things with a calmness.
Yeah.
And as a man, I found there's more power in staying calm rather than lashing out in a traditional, let's say, toxic male trait, right? Of I'm so frustrated about everything. The calmness is where the real power lies.
Yeah.
And some people talk about it as humility, when in actuality, what I believe it to be now is showing control and consistency.
Okay.
And so
But
it's
here's-
certainly not something I mastered, but
Something to consider is that
Yeah.
you are actually able to control your emotions and the way that you respond when you are willing to sit with the hard stuff on your own.
okay.
So for men, one thing to consider is that men are 10 times more likely to be perpetrators when it comes to violence. And
Perpetrators
that
as in the person causing?
yes, 99%. It is a 99% male perpetrated violence, right, in our world. So that is a huge...
Now, is that out of 100?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. So a huge portion of that is that, like what you said, men have been led to believe that emotions are bad, feelings are bad, and so they suppress a lot. And what happens when you suppress your emotions? They build up inside of you. They
Yeah.
have nowhere to go. And so then when you are faced with an uncomfortable situation that brings about emotion,
Yeah.
you're going to lash out rather than having the ability to stay calm because you haven't processed any of those feelings or emotions yourself. Right?
And it happens that way in relationships too. Oftentimes, I compare it to a ball of yarn. One thing I've noticed is when you don't bring up, again, I'll speak within my instances, when you don't bring up the small things, quote unquote, that bother you, consistently leaving the cap loose on the milk, whatever, these little things, pettiness adds up.
Yeah.
And so when
Resentment,
when I have not expressed myself about the little things that bother me, what I've noticed is I get to a point in a relationship, or the partner does, where there's a resentment that we really can't find the beginning and end to because there's so many things left unsaid along the way, right?
Yeah.
And so where do you think, our friend Jamie actually just talked about this on Line There Day about setting boundaries when and before there's something wrong,
Yeah.
right? Like what's the importance of that, like establishing those boundaries early on in a relationship, and when might be a good time as far as the process?
That's a good question. So the first thing is that you have to first make the choice of I'm no longer going to abandon myself to make someone else comfortable.
Okay.
Right? So getting to that place where you can go, okay, my feelings, my emotions, my thoughts, the things I want, the things I need are just as important as the person in front of me, right?
Okay.
They are no less worthy, no less valuable than this person. So if I am really truly honoring the relationship or the connection, I'm going to consider my own needs and wants and things as well as theirs, right? Mm-hmm. So learning not to abandon yourself or feel like your stuff is too much for someone because then you're not even being authentic, right?
And that's from the jump.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the first thing is, okay, I'm not going to abandon myself in any relationship from this point on. I'm not going to stuff down the things that are important to me to make someone comfortable, because the right person for you will be able to hear the things that you want and need, and they'll respect and honor those things, and they'll want to give it to you, right?
Does that become a danger, especially when you have a perceived notion that your partner is better than, or you've put them on a pedestal? Because you tend to get small.
Yeah, it's self-concept work. It is sitting with yourself and getting truthful about your own worth and value without the feelings that you have. Obviously, we all have moments of insecurity. We all have our things where we're like, oh, I wish I was prettier. I wish I was more outgoing. But the truth of the matter is
A little bit
that,
taller. Wish I was a baller sometimes, right? Like a 6'4" Impala. I had to throw a dad joke in.
sure,
I
love that.
apologize.
I lost my
things-
train of thought,
Sorry.
but that
Things
but
you're
yes.
wishing. That's one of the things that's an interjection that I should work on. When you're calling these things out and you have these wishes, you have a tendency, we as people feel inferior to something or make ourselves small because we are afraid we lack this.
Yeah. What is the number one reason that you think, if you're in a relationship with somebody or a friendship or a connection, and you're not telling them how you feel, why is that?
Because it'll push them away.
You're
the
afraid
fear of pushing them away.
You're afraid it'll push them away. And what does
Right.
that mean? That means that you feel like your stuff is too much for them. And
Okay.
that they're going to judge you for it, and therefore
You have to hide it.
you hide it, right?
Right.
But when you get really confident in who you are and knowing that, like, there is nothing about me that is less important than them,
Sure.
right? Then you start showing up a little differently.
Well,
Because-
and that's an easy fix almost when it comes to friendships.
yeah.
Sometimes the dynamic with a relationship is more so not just a codependency, but abandonment issues.
Right. But here's the thing. That's where you come back to, okay, am I going to abandon myself? I don't want to anymore, right? Making that choice of, I will no longer abandon my wants and needs to make someone else happy, because I know, right? And the way you think matters, but I know the right person for me will be able to meet me in the middle. Right? They're going to be able to meet me here.
You can
And that's a
confidently.
green flag, right? That's another green flag, is someone who has the capacity to meet you where you are, to see your imperfection, to see your humanness, and say, hey, you know what? No one's perfect. I'm not either, right?
Add some green. Well, and do you think part of that has to do with if both people maybe don't show up all the way at first? A lot of times in relationships, I hear they've changed.
If you are
Yeah.
truly seeking to evolve and grow and become the best version of yourself, you will always be changing. And so you should be looking for someone who's also on that same path. Again, alignment is really important. You look for someone who can change with you.
Yeah. Would that fall in line with you're not always going to be on the same journey? And I think we may have talked about this on the last show we did together. But there's going to be instances where that partner may have to stop and wait for you, or you may have to catch up with that partner.
Well, that's love, right?
Yes.
That's what love. That's an unconditional love, right? Which
And
there's,
that's where the work comes in. Because what
Yeah.
I found is that you don't only emotionally bond, people love to use the term trauma bonding,
yeah,
but I think you also heal bond.
yeah,
One of the things I've noticed is upon certain journeys, we draw in people that are also on those journeys. And they may be at different wavelengths
yeah,
within that journey. But that soul connection, whether it's romantic or friendship, is drawn in by, I recognize subconsciously this person is improving, constantly striving to improve themselves. And that's what I want.
Yeah.
So this is who I want to be around.
being willing to be really. I think we can turn that off. Right?
Well, I'm going to add a little of this to this, and we're going to throw that rice in.
Oh, okay.
You ready for that?
Sure. Being willing to be really honest about what you're looking for right away.
Okay.
So there's a young girl, I was talking to her recently, and she was very conflicted. She had been out on a date, and she really liked this guy. But he had said to her, I'm just not looking for anything serious right now, which he was honest. That's great.
Sure.
But she was looking for something serious. And so I told her, I said, okay, so let's say that you continue hanging out with this person who has told you, who has been honest, they're not looking for anything serious, but you are. And then in a few months, you're falling in love with this person and they still feel the same way. You're going to end up heartbroken, right?
Right.
So it's really important. And the advice I gave her was to go back and say, look, this is what I'm looking for. I totally understand if that's not where you're at, but this is what I need and what I want right now. And what I want is a relationship with someone.
Now, do you speak these things as non-negotiables up front?
Yeah.
Right.
But you have to know what those are. What are your non-negotiables? And really that's just about knowing what you need, and then you can add in what you want later. But for me, I need, like I said, I need consistency. I need a great communicator.
Yep.
I need someone respectful that honors me, and I need someone who's looking for something long term.
Sure.
Right. And if I go on a date with someone and they say, yeah, I'm not looking for long term, then okay, this was great. Have a great night. It was nice to meet you, and I'm going to move on. Right. Because I know that I don't want to purposely end up heartbroken when I don't have to.
No. And something I've not done prior was I've asked about the long-term thing, and tell me if this is maybe too intrusive to know early on, but
Okay.
what is your long-term goal, right? I've never really asked like, okay, you're looking for something long-term, but long-term, where are you at in 5 years? Where are you at in 10 years?
No, that's not intrusive at all. It's honest.
So I've met someone recently, just an acquaintance, and the conversation wasn't about a relationship at all, but they were telling me like their plan for the next year is to be in a different state because they can work remotely every month. And then beyond that, they'd like to be in a different country every month. And I thought, man, that's a pretty different lifestyle than I live, certainly,
Yeah,
right? Very
yeah.
nomadic, but very cool. Like that was something I was interested in. But if I was thinking of that person in a romantic way, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense when I'm grounded and based in fatherhood in one singular state and place.
It doesn't make sense. It's not
I'm
an
going to pour this in
alignment at
gently
all.
while you stir,
And that matters. Alignment and compatibility really matter.
right?
Long term speaking. Like if you're
Sure.
just casually dating and you're not looking to get into a serious thing, that's a totally different story, right? You don't have to look for alignment per se. But if you know what you want and you know where you're at in your life and you're ready for certain things and someone's life just is not going to match up with that whatsoever, you have to really get honest with yourself about whether or not that's a good fit for you.
When we talk about non-negotiables, are there negotiables when you think about long-term things, such as your idea of where, and this is why I brought that other part up, your idea of where you want to be physically in the state of like where you're living, or do you want additional children? Do you want, like those things are pretty like standard. Like if you want more kids or not, that goes in. But like, where do you want to live? What's your lifestyle?
Yeah.
And by lifestyle, I mean like for me, it's a wraparound porch and several acres that I can watch the
Right.
sunset at.
Right.
Right. But for some people, it's like a loft downtown.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't jive. Right.
It doesn't really, but it also depends on how open-minded a person is. If
Right.
they're like, I really always saw myself at a loft downtown, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I could be open to something like that if we, really hit it off and we care for each other.
So those parts, there is a give and take on that.
I think in something like that. Obviously,
Yeah.
having children is a totally different thing. Like if you're like, I absolutely never want kids, and a person's like, oh, it's been my dream to be a mother my entire life. Well, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
No, of course not. What about career alignment? And the reason I bring that up is because as two individuals that are, more or less self-employed, you and
Yeah.
I, right? Sometimes what's been a burden for me in relationships has been the freeness, the ability to, let's have lunch on a Thursday or go away for 2 days or whatever else, right? If you don't have that, is that something that is something where I should give and take on? Because in the past, it's been difficult for me to be like, oh, well, you're never making it to any of my events. Like, what's going on? Like, you can't do that. Well, I'm unable to because these are my hours.
I think it's less about career, compatibility and more about, are they okay with what you do, right? Are they independent enough that they can be still grounded and happy for you with all the things you're doing, even if they aren't there,
Right.
right? Like obviously it's a preference.
Have you encountered the space and time thing?
I have, not so much now, but when I was younger, I was in a rock band and
Yeah.
I struggled in relationships. Why are you laughing?
Because of the rock band thing.
Yeah, we were both in rock bands,
Yeah.
whatever.
Punk.
A long time ago.
Punk band,
but,
rock band. But yeah.
But I struggled with that because my band toured and we did lots of shows and a lot of people just struggled with that. But I think that's a preference. For me, do I want someone that is compatible, like doing something similar to me? Yes, I do want that. I
Yeah.
do. But if I met the love of my life and they weren't doing the same thing as me, but they had a lot of respect for it and admiration for it, and they could be supportive and encouraging of it, that would be okay with me.
Like going on tours with you and being your roadie?
Maybe.
If you're still in a rock band.
Maybe. Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, so what I want to come back and talk about, because we've talked about some red flags, we've talked about some green flags. Your preparation is done, my preparation is done. We're going to combine the proteins and that. We'll have a little taste test. And then when I come back, I would like to do a quick speed round where I say something about, is this part of something you'd want in a relationship or not? You yes or no it, and then you ask me, and we'll do 5 of
Okay.
those.
Okay.
Good deal?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back with Ashley Mayland here at the Simon Brothers showroom in our induction oven cooking power bowls.
He once fell asleep 4 seconds into a 30-minute bull ride in a rodeo. When Frankie Goes to Hollywood sang about relaxing, Cam Jansen is who he had in mind. Tortoises have to stop and wait for him to catch up. He is the most relaxed man in St. Louis.
I don't always relax in hot tubs, but when I do, I relax in master spas by Spas and More. Stay relaxed, my friends.
All right, welcome back. So we're going to plate these things, and I just want to recap some of the things that you told me because I think they're really excellent, actually, and to put them in a more simplistic form. So, red flag is if somebody treats others in a way that's less than kind. So the example we gave was wait staff, but is there something more like a deeper thing that you won't see as visible? Is there like, is there something you've noticed before intuition-wise that like offhand isn't like just being rude or leaving a bad tip?
Well, look, that's a person's character is revealed in the way they treat other people. So I think it's really that simple. You watch and you listen. And
Okay.
that's really important. And you're going to feel it. You're going to see it, even if it's in little micro movements, little micro things where it just like, give somebody a dirty look for no reason. And, it's just little things. It's just those little things add up.
Okay. Showing up. Red flag is if you are on a date with an individual and they don't ask you any questions about yourself.
Ooh, that's definitely a red flag.
Right? Because if they're giving a resume or telling you how great they are, then there's probably some tendencies
Well, there's
there.
nothing wrong with, talking about yourself as long as you're also engaging in conversation, right? You're not on an interview. You're trying to get to know someone. So
Sure. So green flag. They show up in a way that is traditional but not over the top. Would you say that's correct in the sense that I'm going to hold the door open but not make a big deal of it?
yeah, I'd say that's a green flag.
Right? What about a green flag would also be, or a red flag? Is this a red or a green flag? If they're brutally honest with you, first date, about traumas within their life.
I don't think that's a red flag or a green flag,
Okay.
but I do think it's telling. And it depends on, the thing is you have to build safety and trust with someone.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong if like you're being your authentic self and you're just like, here's my stuff. I've done that before, right?
Okay.
I see nothing wrong with that. But there's also like a certain threshold that you should have because not everyone deserves to know like your deepest, darkest secrets on a first date.
Correct.
Right? Oh, these are cool.
Aren't those cool? So I brought that up because, curiously enough, I had a first date recently, and I knew all about them right away. And I looked at it as a red flag because I was like, what are they trying to do by telling me all this right up front?
Yeah, there are certain things that you should earn. A person should earn to know about you.
That's a good word.
And they earn it through safety. The
Yes.
consistent behavior, through safety, through trust, through
Consistency.
time. Yeah.
Okay, red flag or green flag, phone on the table during a date.
Like up or down?
Oof. I have an opinion about downward phone, by the way. So we'll say for this one, we'll call it down to see your opinion.
Well, for me personally,
Yeah.
if I'm on a first date, I don't have my phone out at all. Unless because I am a mom.
Parent.
Yeah, I'm a parent. So I will have it on to where I will check it occasionally to make sure my daughter's fine,
Yeah.
right? If she's with a babysitter or something.
Yep.
But if you don't have kids and a person's like constantly checking their phone, I would say that's a red flag for sure. It's just disrespectful. It's like I have a million other things I'd rather be doing than sitting here engaging with you, which is a good indication that they're not that interested.
Or engaged. So a downward phone to me, in my brain, maybe this is wrong, means they're hiding something.
No. See, that's a wound that you have.
It is.
That's a fear that you have. That's clearly happened to you before.
It has. So tell me why that may be incorrect.
Well, because personally, if I have my phone out and I'm hanging out with someone, I put my phone down so that I'm not distracted by it.
Wow.
Like, so that I have it in case I need it, but I'm not distracted. Because as soon as I see it light up, I have ADHD, right? So it's like, ding.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, it's really bad.
So I just think it's a sign of respect, actually.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm not hiding anything. I have nothing to hide, but I don't want to be rude either and be constantly looking over at my phone every time it lights up.
Makes sense. Segue to that, second to the last question, bringing old wounds into a new relationship. Example is an immediate distrust before any trust is earned or taken or given. because of a past relationship. And so now, in this instance, let's say that partner one is projecting a level of distrust that they need validation for or proof of without any reason to not trust the other individual.
So it's really important to be honest about your wounds. A person that you're building connection with should know what those things are.
Okay,
Because as a human, you are going to occasionally be triggered.
Sure.
But it is also your responsibility to be the one that sits with those things. That can say, honestly, you know what, I feel really triggered by this right now, but I also know this is my thing. Like, I know that you didn't necessarily do anything wrong to cause this, but it is bothering me right now, and I need to sit with that.
So that might be a
Communication
good
is
time
really
to,
important.
to explain that particular trauma.
Yeah.
Is when you're feeling that.
Yeah, I'm feeling this way. Here's why. I know it's not you. I know it's me, but I want you to understand. So if I'm acting different or if I withdraw for a moment, this is why.
All right, and then the last one, red flag, green flag, because I think this one can be kind of confusing, is the amount of physical time they make or create for you versus what their schedule may be.
Okay, explain. Go further.
So I've noticed that in my experience, some of the busiest people I know have the easiest time to create space for an individual.
Yeah.
And individuals who may not be as busy, oftentimes I can't because of this, always having a thing. And in my experience, an elaborate excuse is typically an untrue excuse.
Okay.
Whereas a simple one and an understanding of, well, I have this or this came up is usually on par. And that goes for like with even like, let's say non-relationship stuff. If an employee is calling in sick or that kind of thing. If you're giving me the whole scenario, I oftentimes associate that with, and maybe a self-trauma, over-explaining is a lie. So I guess the red flag, green flag part is, are they attempting to make time?
Well, there's two reasons
And they're
people
not.
over-explain.
Yes.
It's not always because it's a lie. Sometimes people, yes, they're over-explaining because they're trying to, make up a scenario, right? Sometimes people over-explain because they've been abused or because in their past they weren't heard. Their voice wasn't heard, right? So they feel like they owe you like every tiny detail about what's going on because they're afraid of how you're going to respond, right? So there's two different reasons for over-explaining.
Yeah, both those resonate with me, actually. I understand that when you put it that way.
So it just depends on the person and if you know their heart or not and their intention.
Okay.
But it's twofold, I think.
All right. And then lastly, just a basic question. If an individual does have red flags, but there's more green than red, is that something that we as people should be willing to work with that individual on if we see a long-term solution? Because we all have red flags, right?
Depends on what the red flags are.
Of course. Okay.
Because if they're foundational things that are genuinely going to cause serious issues down the road, and they're just not in alignment with your core values of who you are as a person, that's not going to work. You can't go, oh, well, they have all these good things, but they also are a cheater. So I guess that's okay. Right. It matters what those red flags are.
Yeah, cheating I think is one of those like immediate fireable offenses.
Right. There are some things that are non-negotiable, and it doesn't matter how many good qualities a person has, right? If they're not loyal and you need someone loyal and committed, it doesn't matter how many great qualities they have, right?
Okay. All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing that
welcome.
insight with everyone and myself. I love learning and I love sharing and being open about things, and I really enjoy our conversations at all times, on and off camera. And speaking of red flags and green flags coming together in some ways that are enjoyable, we've put all of our red and green ingredients here. So I've got 4 bowls prepped here. I'm gonna ask Chloe and Blair to join us and taste this and let us know what their honest opinion is, and then we'll grab another bowl for ourselves and we'll give it a try. So we're gonna bring up these 2 individuals. I'll let you hand that to them. Blair, Ellis, Chloe, thank you for joining
This
us.
recipe's on him, just so we know.
Yeah. So, and to give a little background so people know who you are, Chloe, you are a bit of an influencer too, right? Are getting there with
awesome.
your health and wellness?
Yes, I'm currently a personal trainer and I'm studying to be a holistic nutritionist.
Oh, that's
All
incredible.
about healing from the mind, body, and soul. So this was very fitting for me to join in on.
Oh,
I
good.
love
And
that.
I like how you inserted the word fitting, like a pun, because I enjoy those. And speaking of puns, somebody that's heard way too many of them from me, Blair, you're a bit of a fitness enthusiast yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Playing college sports. It's my daily routine, so yeah.
You've always been, and you may have heard me say this, she's heard me say this for sure, but your younger brother is out there FaceTiming right now, but I attribute much of your success to being who I call the James Brown of our family, because you're the hardest working man in it. So what do you think is important about what you put in your body versus when you work out? Because I'm sure you've seen both sides of the coin playing D1 ball.
Yeah, I mean, fueling your body is everything, especially with how hard the college athletes do work out. The big meals like these with protein and carbs, it's very important.
Excellent. Chloe, what do you think the most important part about this is for emotional stability or mental health or just overall health with what you're putting in your body?
I really say that you are what you eat. And if you fuel your body with the essential vitamins and nutrients that your body needs, that's how you're going to be able to thrive in your everyday life.
All right, right on. Thank you guys both. And we'll put, if you're up for it, we'll put your guys' links down at the bottom of today's show as well. And let's taste this and see where we're at with it.
Nice.
Cut it out if they say it's terrible. Just cut that part out.
All right.
Pretty good.
That was very
I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Better than I expected.
Oh. Well, you helped. That's probably the
I
good
know.
part,
That's
right?
why I was worried.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. This is excellent. This kitchen is excellent. Slime Brothers has been an exceptional partner so far. We love using this induction top. I was a gas man until I started using this. Ashley Mayon, thank you so very much for joining us. Chloe, thank you for your insight. Blair, thank you. And thank you all for watching. And if you're watching for the first time, thanks for joining us. And if you're back again, thanks for coming back. We'll see you next time.